Welcome to another edition of Tyrone Paulson Drives. Now, my wife always says that I am going to grow up to be a grumpy old man because I don't like change. Now, it's not like I don't like change. It's just that I like the things that I like to stay exactly the way that I like it until it needs to change. And to show you that I can embrace change, I am inside of a car that Mazda claims that is going to change it all for them. Because you see, Mazda, they went and they said that they are going to change, become a lot more premium. And usually when things become premium, well, then they change and lose that thing that sets them apart. And the thing that definitely made Mazda great for me is that they believe in that philosophy of a thing called Jinba Itai, which is the synergy between a rider and its horse. And they implemented that directly into all of their cars, which has made them, well, really good. So, will it all be changing? I don't know. Let's find out. This is the Mazda CX-60 2.5-litre individual all-wheel drive, and as can be seen, it still looks like the Mazda CX range of SUVs, but a lot bigger, and it looks a little bit, well, more European in design. Dare say even look a little bit meaner. The longer sculpted bonnet, the wider grille, and the redesigned rear has me thinking at times, where have I seen this design before? Because I mean, I see a little bit of Volvo, some BMW, and even a little bit of Jaguar F-Pace in this design. But it still manages to stay true to what Mazda calls their coded design philosophy. Basically, they still believe that cars need to be designed by hand for creating the ultimate form of beauty. And I can't deny it does look, well, beautiful, really good looking. Can you say a car's beautiful? Anyways, now this CX-60 is the first car to be built on Mazda's new rear-wheel drive-based all-wheel drive platform. Yes, it sounds confusing, but the entry-level CX-60, the Dynamic, is rear-wheel drive-based, and this individual model right here gets an all-wheel drive system, but it's more rear-wheel drive-based. What they did in this car is to take the performance characteristics of a rear-wheel drive and then balances it out with the stability of an all-wheel drive system. Now, how it all works is that the rear suspension has been redesigned to generate what Mazda calls an anti-lift force that pulls the car down when the brakes are applied. Now, this is all achieved by simply applying a slight amount of brake pressure to the inner rear wheel when cornering to stop body roll and to pull the vehicle down to stabilize it. What that means is you'll still be able to corner a lot better. It won't affect your speed going in and out of it, and also it won't affect the comfort of the occupants. Now, I'm not going to lie, this design really looks good. Other features that are found on the outside are things like front and rear parking sensors. It's got a 360-degree camera, and it even has a sensor for adaptive cruise control, which works brilliantly, by the way. And then there's this automated tailgate, whose no-hands feature is a lot better than a lot of its other rivals. You just put your foot underneath and then it opens. You don't have to do that whole hokey-pokey, turn yourself around, running man kind of move to just open it up. And once it opens, it gives you a total of 570 liters of boot space. If you put all the seats down, you get, I think, just over 1,700 liters. So, from the outside, it looks good and it looks premium. The question is, what is it like on the inside? In here, it definitely looks premium too. There's loads of room with this wide dash that it just creates an effect of extra space, and the infotainment screen, it looks really high quality too. Now, Mazda has implemented for the first time in the CX-60 what they call their driver personalization system. Now, it makes use of a camera that recognizes the driver and adjusts the seat, the steering, the mirrors and everything automatically. Now, on initial setup, it asks you for things like your height and a couple of other questions, and then it adjusts it according to what the car determines your best seating position will be. Thereafter, whoever then gets in and whose face is used on here, it will make use of that facial recognition and then adjust the car accordingly. Sadly though, when I used it, it had me sitting awkwardly because it didn't adjust for my short little arms and my extra baggage over here. The 12-inch driver display in front of me It's really crisp and clear, and I like the design. It has traditional dials on it, and it even adjusts according to your driving modes, as well as safety features like when you got cruise control active. Also included in front of you is one of the biggest heads-up display units that I've seen, and it is crisp, beautiful, and clear, and I wish more cars would actually have them in it. Now, this infotainment display, it's very crisp and clear, as I mentioned. However, Mazda's interface that it uses now kind of feels a little bit old for me, and I think it needs a fresh new update. But once you use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, it sorts it all out. You'd also notice that it's set really far back, which means reaching it will be really difficult when you're driving. Now, Mazda's reasoning is that they don't want you to be distracted when you're driving. So they don't want you to directly interact with it over here. So they've given you a rotary dial, which initially takes some getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's the best thing ever. You then realize it's a lot better than just touching the screen. But it would be cool to have both of those options available to you. Now, for those who love buttons, there are loads and loads of buttons and knobs and everything everywhere for volume controls, aircon controls, and a whole bunch of other shortcuts. It's got proper buttons on the steering wheel as well. It's got USB-C charging points in the front, as well as a 12-volt traditional lighter socket thingy in here. There's wireless charging and wireless Apple CarPlay integration. Sadly, though, there isn't for Android Auto. You still need a cable. Honestly, I think that the setup of the cabin is really premium. One thing I don't get, got to mention this, is that a lot of people always used to complain about hard touch plastics in certain parts of the car, in places that you can't feel. But in here, where my knee is, it's padded. And I kind of get it now. So yeah, I don't know. This is the thing that cars must have. So my verdict is, yeah, I like it. Premium feel in the front, check. In the rear, it's quite big and spacious too, and well, feels kind of lawny in here. There's enough leg room for both shorties and tallies as well. It's got cup holders in the armrests. It's got two USB-C charging points in here, as well as got air vents. And then it's got ISOFIX points so you can put car seats in here with tethering hooks as well. And the doors open wide enough for you to put in a big car seat. The panoramic sunroof that's in the individual gives that extra feeling of airiness in the cabin. My only gripe is, though, is that when you sit here, you kind of feel like you're sitting upright. I don't know how that's going to be for me on a longer journey, but I mean, it is okay. Maybe I'm just being fussy about it. Oh, if you look at the seat right now, you kind of think, oh, wait, Ty, but this is kind of very close to you. Well, it's in the position for a driver's entry and exit. So whenever the driver gets in or out the car, the seat moves back, so it makes it easier for the driver to get in and all of those things. So this moves back as soon as the driver gets in the front, which is me. So then it will move back and there'll be loads and loads more room. So we've checked the outside, we've checked the inside. How does it feel to drive? Oh, this is going to be a bit of a tough one for me. You see, honestly, I can't fault the way it feels when driving this car. Everything Mazda claims that they can do with just the overall feel of how the car drives, they are 100% correct. They can do that. It's perfect. It does feel like a lot more driver-centric car, and it does feel good on all the surfaces it goes on. Even with the 20-inch wheels, it absorbs like even bumps and imperfections very easily, and it feels really good going around corners. But there's just one thing that kind of lets this car down, man, and that is this 2.5-liter normally aspirated petrol engine it's got in here. It produces 141 kilowatts and 216 Newton meters of torque, and it just feels way too underpowered for this car. I mean, when you put your foot down, it does get to the speeds, but it takes really long, and then it makes this hectic engine noise, which just kind of feels a little bit too harsh for it. I mean, Australia just got a 3-liter V6 version of it. I mean, I hope we're going to get this one as well. And if Mazda did want to keep it to a smaller engine, I mean, there is the 2.2-liter turbo diesel engine that is found inside of the Acera version of the CX-5, which, by the way, I think that engine would be perfect for this car. And that CX-5 is a really good car, but this one is even better. And it could be so much better, but it's just this engine. I mean, that loud noise is just harsh. It just It frustrates me a little. I mean, because this is such a really good car. Come on, Mazda. Fix the engine, please. I honestly think that Mazda has a thing going here. This car, it is a very good car. It's good looking, it does look and feel premium. And it is all the tech that you need, and even some of those tech that you didn't know that you really needed. It's also kind of in the same price of those traditional rivals that it has, and even cheaper than some of its premium rivals. I mean, the Dynamic starts off at just over 740,000 Rand, and this individual, it is just over 845,000 Rand. And it has Mazda's 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty and service plan. With all that said though, I still would think by dropping the price slightly might just make more buyers consider it all. But with all of this said, you know, this engine, unfortunately, it just doesn't do this car justice. And I think it might be its downfall. And that's the thing that's holding us back, because this is such a really, really good car. And I'd love to see more of them on our roads. But who knows what 2024 holds for us and for the Mazda CX-60.